Welcome. I'm Sheila Winger, and this is Shift is Happening. Today, I have Mikki Meisner with me today. We are going to have a great conversation. Mikki is a friend, and she is a former client. And she wanted to talk about the results that she saw from her session that we had about 6 months ago. And so in our conversation, we'll get into what she noticed after that and really do a deep dive into what's going on that allowed, after just 2 sessions, for such a transformation to happen. So thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. And I want to say it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Oh, I love that.
It was nothing like I thought. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't expect to, bark like a dog or quack like a duck.
Good.
But that's kind of the perception that people have of, And it was interesting because, while I'm there, I'm thinking, am I doing this right? Okay, focus. Like, how is this working? This isn't working. This is never going to, all the things, all the thoughts. And, and just then circling back and just trust the process and let it happen, which I think is probably key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of relax and just go with it. But I think it felt like about 5 minutes, and it was probably 45.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Which fascinates me as well.
Yeah. So tell me if you can, because there are so many misconceptions, and almost every client says it was nothing like I expected. What did you expect?
Bark like a dog, quack like a duck. I don't know. I honestly I don't know what I thought. I thought that I would go to sleep.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that I would be unconscious, that I wouldn't I don't want to say wouldn't have the ability to question my own sanity as I was
yeah.
Is this working? Am I doing it right? I didn't expect that I would have those thoughts. I thought that I would be.
Yeah.
I think people think that they would be under your control.
They do.
You have some secret power to, you will never do blah, blah, blah again.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I do get that question, those questions a lot. And so I want to address them. First and foremost, the word trance is used in hypnotic lingo because you have to be in trance for it to work. But that word has so many misconceptions and connotations that are not true. You are in a hypnotic trance if you're having an emotional experience. If you are bubbling up with emotion, you are in a hypnotic state, and I can right then and there do really good therapy on you. And you're fully conscious and aware. If you're driving your car and you are kind of lost track of time, now your exit comes up and you're like, oh my gosh, there's my exit. Where'd the last 10 minutes go? You were in a hypnotic trance.
Kind of like TV.
Exactly like TV. Yes. So that's why people spend trillions of dollars on advertising, because when you're watching TV, you're in that state. So you are in a trance, but you're
not. They don't call it programming for nothing. Anyway, that's another podcast.
Absolutely. But that is, you're just in a relaxed state so that you are able to focus on what I'm doing. That's really, you are just more suggestible because you're relaxed enough that eventually my words become more important than your own background thoughts, and you're able to have them go deeper. And then when it comes to the, are you going to control me issue, that is a complete misnomer that many people have. Yes, I can shift your operating systems to serve you better. But you have a mechanism. If I'm going to say something that's against your own desires and will, it will pop up and say, excuse me, no, I don't think so.
Well, and there's a trust factor, regardless of the truth and the, perception, there's a trust factor that I'm going to, lay in your chair and let you, but you're so trustworthy. I think the first time we talked, I'm like, yep, she's my girl.
Love that.
So, yeah.
And I'm glad that you said that too, because if anyone is considering hypnotherapy, you have to really follow your intuition about that person's intent.
Well, and it's not like, okay, come in, lay down, I'm going to do the thing. Like, we talked and you had your crazy notebook and circle in it. Stuff that you do, which I love.
Which is another good point. Anyone going to hypnotherapy should be talking with their hypnotherapist for a nice long time, because in that deep conversation, we have to get to the crux of the issue that we know we can unlock. And that takes time.
Yeah. And we didn't work on what I thought we were going to work on at all.
Oh, say more. It's been a while since I worked with you. So tell me exactly.
Okay, so
about
what
that.
I thought we were going to talk about was abundance and, money mindset. Now it's all coming back to you, right?
Yes.
And what we wound up talking about was how I grew up being grounded, and we untethered. So we
Yes.
remember we were like sort of taking a mental tour through the store, and I started
Yes.
talking about the elephant.
Yes.
So I have elephants are sort of my spirit animal, and I have
Hmm.
pictures of elephants all over the place, and they remind me that I'm not grounded because I grew up grounded.
Yes.
And so we did this whole hypnotherapy thing around being grounded. Part of me was like, this isn't what I wanted to talk about at all. But it's amazing what happens when you're freed,
Yeah.
because that's what happened. And so we got done with the session, and I had realized that, wow, we had just done this big, bold move at the wellness center where things were automated. So I had some freedom.
Yes.
And you know what happened? I got a taste.
Say more.
I
Go
got a
into all the
taste of
detail.
it, and I realized that I I didn't want the way things were going. I wanted more freedom.
That's right.
And so since then, closed down the wellness center,
Hmm.
automated part of what I do from home,
Hmm.
and I have so much more freedom. And like I don't feel like I'm pulling this giant, very expensive wagon.
Yeah.
Saying yes to things that I didn't really want to say yes to, but just spinning all these plates trying to keep it afloat just so that I could keep pulling the wagon that I didn't want to pull to begin with. So I'm like, well, while I'm untethered, let's just unhinge this bad boy. And
Yes. Totally.
so since then I'm rebranding. I'm just, yeah, New Health Rebellion.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you're bringing it back to me now. It's all coming back because in those questions, I was sensing all these feelings.
Hmm.
And until then, you weren't operating from those feelings. You were having them, but you were still going forward. You were
Yeah.
still working harder, working more, working longer.
Yeah.
You were having the feelings, but not adhering to them.
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't work on what you wanted to work on. Because
Right.
way up here, after with all the layers built up, you just wanted to get more money for your efforts.
Right. Well, what's fascinating is, what happens is I was still, beating my head against you know, trying to do more and figure it all out. And my God, I need to sign. And I was cleaning my son's room because he was coming home for the weekend from college, and a book fell off the shelf, and it's called U Squared.
Uh-huh.
And there's, this long of a story. And it's all about a fly beating its head against the window. If he just tries harder, he can get out. The truth is that fly is going to die on the windowsill when the door's open 10 feet away.
Yes.
And full body goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the fly. And I walked in the
Totally.
other room. I read my husband that story, and I said, so we're shutting down the wellness center. And he's like, what?
Right.
I'm like, let me read this to you. I'm like, I'm the fly. And he's like, what?
And he's like, thanks, Sheila.
But no, but it's, now he has a much bigger office, and I'm free. It's just going to be so much better.
I'm
So much better.
thrilled. I am thrilled for you because I knew you couldn't stand it. None of it was making you happy.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure some of it was,
Yeah.
but not all of the effort, not all of
Well,
the.
it's like if you love to bake pies and you open up a pie shop because you love to bake pies, you don't stop to think, well, now I got to do the books and scrub the toilet and hire
Right.
people and
Yeah,
da da da,
exactly.
then it sucks all the fun out of it.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
you brought up a point that I really want the audience to understand. It's huge. What we got to was how you actually felt,
Right.
and we aligned you up with that.
Right.
Whatever, most people are walking around being what they think they're supposed to be, and then having these feelings that don't even get like, oh, well, get over yourself. We got to do it. This is the way the world is.
Right.
It doesn't actually work that way.
No, because your feelings are the tuning fork that vibrates out and brings back what you are, what you're vibrating at,
100%.
right?
100%.
Yeah.
So all we have to do, it's simple and not easy,
Yeah.
is recognize what we feel and then honor it and follow it.
Hmm.
The implications of this are massive. What that says is that our feelings know how to take us to our dream life.
Mm.
And it's true. They do know how to. Like I said, my person who wants the partnership feeling, because she now knows that she wants to feel that and is giving herself that,
Mhm.
her life will change.
Mhm.
Likely her marriage will change.
Hopefully for the good.
Definitely,
Well,
without
always for the
question.
good, but it
Always for
doesn't
the
always
good.
work out like you think it's going to.
No, in fact, it's always for the good, and it's often
Right.
messy, but the things that might have to fall away
Mhm.
for people, they find out they had no idea that that was the best thing that was ever going to happen
Yeah.
to them.
Well, it is often messy. You should have seen this place even 2 weeks ago because it's only been a month since we made the decision to shut her down, and
Yeah.
now it's, like, amazing.
Yeah. So when you wake up in the morning, give us a snapshot. How do you feel now versus how you felt then 6 months ago
Mm.
before you came into
I
my
feel lighter. I feel like I'm in creative mode,
Mhm.
which is the juicy spot for me. Like I'm a creator, I'm a doer, I'm entrepreneurial, I'm a little bit ADHD, and I
Mhm.
need the freedom. Like it works for me. It's my
Yeah.
superpower. So I don't
Mhm.
say that as a, degradation thing.
Right.
It's who I am, it's what I do.
Yep.
And I don't want to change it. I want to work with it and I want to just make that grow and flourish. And I want to bless people with it because I'm really freaking good at what I do.
Yes.
And now I get to do what I'm good at doing
Yes.
instead of scrubbing toilets and spinning 17 plates that I didn't want to
Didn't even
spin to begin with.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
yeah. So I just wake up and feel good.
Mhm.
Give a little stretch, open the window, look at the sunshine, going, okay.
You like what you get to do that
Yeah.
day. You
Yeah.
like what you get to do that day.
Yeah.
That's such an amazing feeling.
Instead of dread what I have to do that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
And from that place, the money can't not come.
right. Right. Because the people you interact with feel what you look like right now from you.
Hmm.
Like you look right now alive and in tune and happy.
Yeah. I
And
can't even
that's
tell you how many people like, wow, you look lighter. And
Mhm.
honestly, I was on another podcast just a month or two before we shut it down. And I was looking at it, I'm like, my God, I looked tired.
You
Just
were.
exhausted.
You
I know
were.
I was.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
see it.
Which is how do you run a wellness center when you're like, "Well,
Right.
it's like, doesn't work that way.
Right. Good for
So,
you. And now you're
yeah.
you're exemplifying wellness in every single thing you do.
Yeah. And things are popping up, opportunities, and
Mhm.
I'm having multiple opportunities. I didn't tell you this. So my word for 2025
Yeah.
is no.
I know, I love that. You did
It's
mention that.
it's no.
I l I
Yeah, it
l
feels really good. So
Such a good
I've got
word.
a couple other things that I'm thinking about just putting down,
Uh-huh.
and it's not going to be a popular opinion, but
That's right.
I have to like, geez, I'm pushing 60 here. I need to,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
be
Y
happy
You
and
need to align with the things
yeah,
you wanna do more of the time.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
So, when you do something like this and I mean, the tagline is change what's possible, shift hypnosis, change what's possible.
Hmm.
Does it truly feel like
Yeah.
new possibilities are
But well, it's the thing about possibilities
Mhm.
is you don't know what you don't know,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
So if you don't even know what's possible because you can't see outside of this veil of stuckness, let's call where
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
speaking for myself, like I didn't know that all of this was possible.
Mhm.
So, I mean, hence the word stuck.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question. So when you have that feeling like, "Oh, I had no idea," it just never occurred to me to just stop what I was exhausted by, and now that I
Hmm.
have, I feel totally different.
Hmm.
What do you where are you with that now? Now that you know you did something you didn't quite know you could do you
Hmm.
feel like
Oh, like free, like that's the whole point of what we did.
yeah.
And unstoppable. I'm
Mhm.
unstoppable.
Mhm. Like, what's the next dream I'm going to
Right,
make happen?
right.
Mhm.
Well, and I mean, we're going to Mexico. I didn't see that coming.
How did that happen?
um, Same thing. I'm like desiring freedom and, was driving to work and I'm like, okay, God, I know you didn't make me to be broke. And like, I know this isn't working. What I'm doing isn't working. And I
Mhm.
need you to shine the light on what I'm supposed to be doing. Those
Mhm.
are my words. And then
Mhm.
followed by, and make it really bright because I'm not always that smart.
Yeah.
And I get to work and I have an appointment and I'm literally, I'm working with the light. I'm working with light therapy,
Uh-huh.
photobiomodulation to be specific.
Mhm.
The patches, the light therapy
Y
patches,
Yeah.
they're phenomenal.
We'll have to talk about that
Oh my
later,
I'm so tickled
or we can
about
talk about it
these.
now if you want
Okay.
to.
Well, it's just a little patch, and I don't have one where you can see it, but
Uh-huh.
it reflects your body's own light back into itself,
Uh-huh.
which wakes up your GHK CPU,
Uh-huh.
copper peptides. I fumbled it up, but it's
Uh-huh.
copper peptides, which activate your stem cells.
Oh, wow.
So it activates your own body's stem cells, which are the healing mechanisms in your whole body.
Wow.
And they are responsible for repairing and damage control. And by the time you're 30, 50% of them are dormant. By the time you're 60,
Yeah.
you probably have two and they're not talking to each other.
Right.
Right. And so
Wow.
what this does is it just wakes them up and your body can go to work healing. Everybody's different.
Wow.
So everybody's body's different and everybody has a different response to them.
Sure,
Um,
and different
but my
consciousness that
hips
they're
don't
putting
hurt and
into.
like I could go on and that like my nails are super long and strong. And so what else is
Wow.
going on in there that they're
Speaking of changing what's possible.
right?
Wow.
So literally the day that I'm doing this because I drive to work and praying like that's,
Yeah.
I got 7 minutes, God, let's do it. Um, but that day was when light therapy came to me and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, okay, when you pray for God to shine the light and light therapy comes to you, you got to
Wow.
pay attention.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, I took this on and I'm having a ball with it and I'm sharing it with people and like people are saying yes, people that I never thought would like jump on board. There's a
Wow.
business aspect to it.
Yeah.
And so now I've got all these business partners.
Oh
And the
my
next thing I
gosh.
know that like, oh, there's an incentive trip. So where am I at with that? And what I didn't know about
Wow.
myself is that I'm really motivated by incentive trips.
I can
I'm
see
like,
why.
wait, what? So yeah, within just a couple of months, I'd gotten this incentive trip. And I'm like,
Wow.
God, I was with my other company for 16 years and I never got,
That's incredible.
I know. So
Wow.
I'm having a ball with it. I'm experiencing a lot of success with it. And it's so in alignment with who I am and what I do,
100%.
right? I'm the water lady. You have to be hydrated in order for the copper peptides to actually do their thing because it's the transport system and the energy conductor.
Yes.
Makes sense. It's like, oh, I see what you did there.
This blows my mind.
Uh-huh.
I want
Oh,
to.
wait, I blew your mind?
Oh, I was going to fist bump you. High five's great. Totally. Because there's a parallelism between your story and mine too. And your life just, when you said yes to you, when you said no to not being you,
Right.
a path got laid out for you. When you aligned with what you really are, a path was laid out for you.
Right.
And it was the same exact thing with me. So I had said yes to myself and that I was going to leave teaching and become a therapist.
Mhm.
But it was going to take, I was going part-time in school because my twins were still home doing all the sports.
Mhm.
It was taking a long time, but I loved it. But I'm like, gosh, it feels weird that it should take 4 to 5 years when I know I'm made for this,
Mhm.
but I'll do anything. If it took 15 years, I would do it. Lo and behold, that's when I had to study hypnotherapy, and I'd have to write like a 3-page paper and I write like a 10-page paper because it's just blowing my mind.
Mhm.
And then I go get a session done. And then he says to me, it was crazy. I was feeling the energy in this room. It was palpable. I just went because I was like, I'm so intrigued by this. I want to try it on myself and I want to ask you about it. And he just starts sharing all of his information and he's like taking me in like I'm a daughter or something and telling me everything, being so warm and kind. And then I'm feeling this palpable energy in the room. I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on here.
Mhm. Mhm.
We finished the session and he says to me, so maybe you want to take over my practice.
What?
And I'm like, that's what I've been feeling. I was wondering if you were perfect for my mom or like what was going on. And yeah, he met me once and he's like, maybe you want to take over my practice. So then it just
You
started.
kind of have that effect on people.
Well,
You
thank you.
do. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know what it was, but he said that and it got me thinking. I'm like, well, maybe I do. Maybe I could add this to my credential. And his office is only 15 minutes away from my house. Not to mention when I was walking in there, I was really admiring his office and dreaming about it my own. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy. Well,
Uh-huh.
that's what led me on a path to study hypnosis. And then when I finished that, I knew I could change lives without needing the rest of my schooling.
I mean, it goes like the therapy goes so hand in hand with it, and
It does.
that showed up when we were talking because
Oh, yeah.
it's more than just hypnotherapy. I mean, there's obviously some
Yes.
therapy with the hypnotherapy.
That's what
Heavy on the
makes
therapy? I don't know.
it is definitely both. And that's what makes it work so well.
Yeah.
Like, and anyone embarking on it needs to know that hypnotherapist can ask the right questions,
Mhm.
and you can sense that they're on it.
Mhm.
And if you can't,
I think there's a certain insight that you have that
Mhm.
like is integral to your success.
well, thank you. I accept.
Okay.
But the point about when you lined up with you and you
Mhm.
got in touch with the deeper feelings that you were just ignoring, and then you lined up with them, now the path was just laid for you. And the same thing with me. But the other thing that you brought up was prayer. And I'm just gonna speak to it. Um, People are reluctant to talk about prayer.
Right?
Yeah, they'll talk about spirituality all day long, as long as they can say the universe and not God, as long as they can
Or
tiptoe
God,
over
not the universe.
either one or
Right?
the other. Yeah. Or God forbid, I'm not you.
Uh-huh.
All of these feelings they have about that. But let's just talk about prayer. We know that prayer works. It's been studied to impact
Right.
people, especially when lots of people,
Plants, food,
yeah,
water.
all sorts of
Yeah.
things. But specifically, what I wanted to highlight about your prayer is when we're asking, like, we know we need something, but it's sort of outside of us. Like, help me. I can feel this thing I want and need, but I can't seem to do it by myself. When we do that, it's as if, well, now we're on our edge of growth. We
Mm.
know what we're capable of. We know what we want, and we just can't see the ladder to it
Mhm.
within our own self.
Mhm.
And in that moment, we are on our edge of growth, ripe to become that next thing. And when we are willing to ask for it, it puts us into vulnerability, which
Mhm.
is the state that, if I may just say it, the universe and God were always waiting for us to be, because it just wants us to be what we actually feel and what we actually are.
Yeah.
So in that moment, we let down our guard, let down our conditioning, and go, okay, fine. I want this thing. I can feel this. I just can't make it happen by myself.
Mhm.
And it seems to be that that's a state of being that we need to enter in order for us to find out that that is
Yeah.
available to us.
And also listen.
Yeah. Oh,
Listen.
yeah.
So I was telling this to a friend of mine and she said, "Why does God answer your prayers so quickly?" Because that happens a lot for me. Like
Girl.
I will ask and like boom, it's
Yeah.
like so
Yep.
blatantly clear.
Uh-huh.
Why does he, answer your prayers so quickly? And I've been asking for it. And I feel like it goes back to the feeling, like
Yep.
you're praying for what you don't want.
Say more about that.
Well, if you're telling yourself I'm sick, God help me get better because I feel like this, like you're just focusing on what you don't want. Like,
Yes.
so one of my favorite prayers is show me,
Yeah.
show me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm careful about what I pray for because
Mm-hmm.
it's real. Like, when
Yeah.
they say careful what you pray
Yeah.
for real. But show me and then be open and pay attention. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What you're speaking to is that our words are spells. They are spelled,
Yeah.
and they are
So
spells.
powerful.
If we think of it that way, and I love this because you can think of it this way, you can practice it and find out what it does and test it your own self.
Mhm.
But what we are saying is a spell put out to the universe. And when you walk around and look at what people who are saying, why do you get your prayers answered and I don't? Watch what they're saying.
Well, watch what they're feeling. Like, obviously, she's a little ticked off, which is
Mm-hmm.
what she's projecting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
back to the tuning fork. Like, well, it's
Mm-hmm.
one tuning fork will make another tuning fork vibrate, right? So
Right.
that's the
Yes.
universe. It's an ecosystem. That's the way I see it anyway. And,
An ecosystem. Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
And so if I'm walking around angry, I'm or somebody makes me angry, it's because that's in me,
100%.
right?
So what needs your attention when they do?
Say that a different way.
When someone makes you angry,
Oh,
what needs your attention?
me.
You.
Yeah.
It's nothing about them. It's like,
Right.
what's in here?
How am I showing up like that? What's happening? Like, what did that trigger? What nerve did that touch?
Right.
Yeah.
You said
Ecosystem.
ecosystem. I love
Yeah.
that. Robert Edward Grant, I think, coined the phrase you inverse.
Ooh.
The universe is the
Yeah.
you inverse. It's reflecting back.
Wow.
Isn't that brilliant
I've got
too?
full body goosebumps.
Yeah. Well, your ecosystem's pretty great too. So I love that. But that's exactly what it is. And so when you hear what people are saying, they are reflecting what they see out there that they're not happy about
Right.
and are being unhappy about it. So they're waiting for that to change. I'm not happy because that's not changing.
I'm going to try to control all of that because
Yes.
I'm not happy.
And it never works.
No.
It will not work. So anyone who makes us angry, we have one job: get ourselves well.
Right.
That's it. What do I need to learn about how that got me? Fix that all up, heal that all up, get all that clarity, because then it becomes, that's your only job everywhere you go, because then you're going to get the inverse of being good inside. And it makes life seem so simple that that's all we ever have to do.
Manage our own ecosystem here.
Yeah. Our own feelings, our own thoughts, our own actions are the only thing that needs our care. And yeah, we're going to interact in the world. We're going to go out there and do all the things. But really,
yeah, it's not like you can isolate and go, okay, I'm happy now because I don't have to,
no.
like that's the iron sharpening,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the rock tumbler out there
Yeah.
to help us find what do we need to fix up in here.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to talk real quick because my husband had some sessions with you.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
I'm thrilled that he quit vaping.
Yeah. And he had 2 sessions. And only one of them was about vaping, if I remember correctly. Right?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. Right.
I just remember he quit vaping and I'm like, hallelujah.
It was wild.
I was holding a lot of resentment and anger of every time that thing.
Yes.
It was like my whole body would be like, oh my God, are we ever? And it was like, I called it his pacifier.
Yeah.
Which
he
is
did
like,
too.
that's on me. It's like my resentment. I get that. But it was just a constant thing. And
yeah.
so I didn't see that going away. I was like just trying to manage my anger.
Sure.
About it, because I can't control him.
I know, right? But he told
yeah.
me too, I've got these things everywhere. I've got one in my car. I've got one at my desk. I've got one.
Yeah. He let me throw them away. And I'm like, why didn't we record that? That was like a da 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 da,
That would have been fun.
Put them in the dumpster.
It never fails to, it never gets old when these
bet.
miraculous things happen. And sometimes they truly are on the border of miraculous. I don't always know I can do those things. He's the only one I've ever worked on with vaping. I had worked on.
Apparently, it's harder than smoking. Which is harder than heroin or anything else. That's a big
deal.
Big deal.
Yeah. And so how did that change your life when he stopped doing that?
I'm super proud of him.
Yeah.
Like props, total respect. Because I know it's not an easy thing. And he'd been struggling with it for a long time. And, we started, of course, with cigarettes, which got to the point where I was like, dude, you're going to have to put those down or I'm going to go.
Yes, those are me.
Ooh, stinky.
Yeah.
And so that was a step, but I'm like, but you're still smoking. Right. And he's like, well, I'm not smoking. I'm like, it's the same thing. But yeah. And it's expensive and it's also stinky, although somebody that vapes doesn't think it's stinky.
Right. It's noisy.
Yeah. It's all the things. So just really, and I feel like it gave him confidence and freedom that I'm not sure really thought that he could do.
Yeah. Well,
obviously he didn't. So he had hypnotherapy over it and
sure.
Bam.
Well, let's talk about how hard it is it's hard to kill it because there's a feeling that it's replacing. So you can just use direct suggestion to try to get someone to stop doing that. You can make it seem repulsive to them in their subconscious mind or whatever. But I'm not interested in doing something that if I'm not convinced I can get to the real root of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, when I'm working on an addiction or a habit, get them really comfortable with the feeling that they've been avoiding. Because then they learn they can handle that feeling. In the long talking portion that we do, they understand, oh, where did that feeling start from? We spend some time loving that feeling, helping them realize that that's not your fault. Do some work on that. And so you don't need to cover it up because you can handle it, and it's just not going to be a big deal because it was never your fault. When they can handle that feeling, they don't have to cover it up. And then you just have basically the habit left. It's a habitual thing. So,
I mean, there's the physical addiction to the actual nicotine and stuff too. Like,
well, that's
brutal.
I know that's crazy. When you think about the fact, when you just think about the fact that hypnotherapists can just take that chemical addiction and make them stop, you have to ask how. Well, here's how I do it. And I don't know if everyone does it this way, but it works, is that there's a deep part of them that has dreams that this is in the way of, that wants those dreams more than it wants that stupid stick. And so when I'm talking to my client, when I talk to him in hypnosis, I am showing them that if you keep doing this thing, it's going to take you the opposite direction of everything you want in your life. It's going to get in your way. It's going to make it not work in the same way because it doesn't give you access to your deepest self. You're covering up those feelings. So I show them how it takes their dreams away and poisons them and does damage, and how it's not loving. And so they're feeding hate. They're feeding poison. And then I show the opposite, that without that, all these other things are possible. And number one is when you don't do that anymore, you just found out something that you thought was impossible became possible, which makes you think these other even bigger dreams are more possible. So that's the first stepping stone to you ever being able to get any of those things.
Well, and that's a fascinating thing. Like the session that we had, like we worked on one thing, but I kind of am watching it blossom and leaking off into other areas, if you will.
Oh, I love that. Tell me all about them. What are you?
Well, just what else is possible? Like I said, I got a taste of freedom, but I realized that I was not just tethered in one way.
Yeah.
Many ways. Hence the word no for my word of the year, because I had been sort of chained to people pleasing and to agreeing to things that I didn't want to do.
Yeah. It's so insidious, especially if you don't mind me saying, for women, we're sort of trained from when we're tiny that we're supposed to be caring for everybody else first.
Yeah.
From a very young age. And that is not how it works. So how good does no feel when you know it's the actual right answer?
Feels amazing.
How about if you say no and someone goes, "Are you sure?" No, Mikki.
That actually happened.
How does it feel?
And I was having a conversation with a life coach actually, and back to my husband, he came out and said, "Hey, so basically signed me up for this, part in a skit, and and I said, no." And he's like, "Well, it's just a short little and I said, "You know what? I've got so much on my plate right now. I'm just going to say no." Well, but I already told her, and it's just going to be really quick. You don't really have to do.
Ooh.
I'm going to decline. You're going to have to tell her no. And she's not used to hearing that from me. And so he okay. And, walked on, and my friend who's a life coach, I didn't even realize that was what was happening.
That's so great.
But I had just told her that my word was no.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow."
So beautiful.
You mean it. And it's almost like, the universe is like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?"
100% on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. It's a
Yeah,
no.
because my plate's full, and you put one more thing on me, and I'm going to explode into a million pieces.
Hmm.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this concept that when we tune in with what's inside of us and just say that,
Yeah.
we're the only one in charge of this.
Yeah.
We're the only one who knows. When we just reflect that back out and say, because sometimes people say, well, they'll challenge you on how you feel.
Yeah.
That's called gaslighting. No one ever gets to do that.
Yeah.
We can say it without doing any harm at all because we
Yeah.
know that that's right for us.
Yeah, it
Good
doesn't
for
work for
you.
me.
No, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, what a delightful conversation. And thank you for taking the time to discuss these things with me. There's one other thing you said that reminded me you said one thing became possible, you realized little other
Yeah.
things that come in.
It leaked all over my life.
Yeah, beautiful. It seems more yeses just pop up
Yeah.
that are real yeses, and more no's come easily when they're not
Mm-hmm.
the right thing for you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful that you wanted to spend the time talking about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Mikki, for being here. I've loved our conversation. And thank you for being here. I'm Sheila Wenger. This is Shift is Happening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your people.